We will organize it at the Parliament canteen. We also test the taxpayers.
They are serving prawns.
Yeah, they are serving prawns. The Chinese one.
Yes.
Ruto. Yeah. What do you mean?
Unakuliwa.
I hope everybody is here because most of your police are coming. I hope you will share. You share with them. Thank you very much. First, before I read this statement, on Friday I shared my, National Dialogue Committee was formed. It was brought here to this Parliament. That's the National Assembly and the Senate. We did pass. They invited opinions from across all Kenyans. And as a leader and a citizen of this country, I thought it would also be wise to share my opinion. You are aware the Constitution respects the freedom of opinion expression. And I'm happy that you have found time to join me so that I clarify a few misinformation that has been shared even by leaders and people who hold high office in this land. And as a country, we should respect each other's opinion. The current constitution we have is as a result of proposals and opinions of all of us Kenyans. So we should not, and I want to assure my critics that I'm one of the few people who cannot be intimidated or blackmailed or coerced into following a certain opinion simply because you think you are too brilliant or too right than anybody else. And as a leader who has served for many years in this country, I respect the opinion of everybody. I've seen the opinions of Kenyans who are dissenting, and that is the beauty of democracy. And I hope the National Dialogue Committee will not be swayed by these pedestrian remarks by even leaders and Kenyans. They should look at the meat and the substance of what I'm raising, because it will have a life-changing disease. This is what I shared on Friday on Memorandum to the National Dialogue Committee, and I shall read. As you are aware, the National Dialogue Committee was approved by Parliament to, among other things, identify challenges in relation to electoral reforms, cost of living, governance, among others. The majority party and minority party in Parliament jointly presented a motion aimed at securing legal recognition for establishment of National Dialogue Committee. To this effect, its mandate, the committee established a framework agreement to steer the bipartisan talks. The committee, in discharging its mandate, has invited stakeholders to share their views by receiving written views, public opinion, to secure maximum public participation. On Friday, 22nd September 2023, the year of our Lord, I submitted my memorandum to the National Dialogue Committee by expressing my thoughts and opinion as a leader in Kenya, guaranteed under Article 33 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. In my opinion, as I expressed in the memorandum, I proposed several issues for consideration by the committee. One, governance. It is without a doubt that these bilateral talks are propended on the need for resolving the deep-rooted political disputes that have augmented protests across the country. As a result, these protests have affected the nation's capacity to realize major development in various sectors. It is the aspirations of these talks that we can be able to resolve in totality these deep-rooted challenges that affect not only the democratic space of our nation, but also the development agenda. Consequently, this memorandum seeks to propose numerous recommendations that would not only transform governance in our country, but also enhance public participation in the administration of affairs of our beloved nation. I am aware that many issues were raised before the National Dialogue Committee, including, but not limited to, cost of living, guarantee minimum returns to farmers, and economic-related aspects, as well as governance issues. I therefore with a lot of humility, propose the following for the consideration by the committee. 1, institutionalization of the office of the opposition leader. Number 2, reintroduction of the office of the Prime Minister. Number 3, increase the presidential term from 5 to 7 years. Number 4, constitutional backing for the Constituency Development Fund and World Development Fund. I hereby wish to set the point straight on each proposal as follows. 1, A, institutionalization of the office of the opposition leader. Under our legal and institutional framework, we do not have the office of the opposition leader. However, it is an assumed role whose important role is presumed to be filled by the one who garners the second most votes for the presidency in the general election. What we have under our laws are the various positions of parliament. These are the leaders of majority and minority parties at the National Assembly and the Senate, as envisaged under Article 108 on the Constitution of Kenya. Our recommendation greatly borrows from the practice in the United Kingdom. Not only is the office statutorily guaranteed, but the leader of opposition has the power to establish a shadow cabinet to keep in check the government's excesses, thus promoting accountability and integrity. Our recommendation is premised on the need for accountability and transparency in the government as well as opposition itself by the great citizens, from whom much is given, much more would be expected. Through this position, not only will the government be kept in the check more effectively and efficiently, but the opposition would be held accountable, as well as because it is the taxpayers that will be footing the expenses of the office to carry out the important role. Number 2, reintroduction of the office of the Prime Minister. Unlike in the past, under the current legislative framework, the link between the executive and legislature is the majority party leader. Holding the government accountable in such legislative makeup can become futile due to political circumstances such an attempt might find itself in. The Prime Minister, like the practice in the United Kingdom's Parliament, represents the government and is ever present in Parliament, and thus can be able to explain the government's direction on any matter upon such request by members of Parliament from across all political divides. Number 3, increase of the presidential term limit from 5 to 7 years. Whereas the current constitution provides for 2-term presidential term limit comprising of 10 years, there is need to increase the two terms of 7 years each. This enables the president to have a good opportunity to form and establish a formidable team to deliver his manifesto. Besides, the Kenya presidential election is always highly profile as a result of it being conducted within a short period of time, thus making it a do or die adventure. The continuous campaign mood in the country has been occasioned by the perception that elections are held within the short period of 5 years. In any election period, we lose a whole year in campaigns, and another year is lost immediately after election because of the litigations in the Supreme Court, and thereafter transition period of new government settling down in the formation of new government, such as cabinet vetting by Parliament and appointment of the same, including senior government officials. In total, we lose 2 years in a period of 5 years, leaving only 3 years for a president and new government to work. It is therefore justifiable to increase the presidential term limit to 7 years per term, totaling to 14 years, if someone is elected to office. I am cognizant that these proposals shall alter the governance structure as envisaged in the Constitution of Kenya, which in turn shall be subjected to public referendum or popular initiative as highlighted under Article 257 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. To the critics, let's meet in the contest, because our Constitution envisages amendment of the Constitution at any given time, so long as the threshold is met under the provisions of Article 256 and 257 through popular initiative. Number 4, on devolution. Devolution marks 13 years, yet it still faces funding issues. As a result, the county governments face a myriad of challenges or problems trying to keep up with development deadlines and keep promises made to the citizens. This is despite many corruption choking most of our county governments. The Constitution under Article 207 provides that there shall be established a revenue fund for each county, in which shall be paid money raised or received on behalf of the county government. Therefore, I propose 1, that we increase the funding to counties to 40% of the total national revenue. Number 2, I propose that we institutionalize both the CDF and Ward Development Fund in the Constitution. I propose that the Senate be given veto powers on bills and vetting of cabinet secretaries, ambassadors, and other independent institutions and commissions, as envisaged under Article 249(4) of the Constitution of Kenya. Finally, on the young people, the continued marginalized of our youth remains a pressing challenge. There is a massive unemployment that can only be cured through increased representation of youth and women in both appointed and leadership positions. For example, political parties should be compelled to have at least 30% of young people in their leadership positions, and elective positions, both appointive and elective, during nomination. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I wrote to the National Dialogue Committee. I can see there is Ulabalu here and there, you and cry. That there is nothing unusual that I presented to the National Dialogue, and here is a copy of what I presented on Friday, which was received. This is 22nd September 2023. That is the year of our Lord on Friday, and the issues that I've just captured is the issues that I have captured. I've seen people writing, oh, Cherargei haona moto. I've seen some newspapers writing like that. Cherargei haona moto. Mimi mwenyewe sijaona moto. Ama kuna moto nyinyi mnaona. Ati Cherargei under fire. I've seen a lot of misreporting that is happening, but I'm happy, and that is why I thought I should give the correct perspective of what I'm proposing, and I'm willing to follow through. What I'm asking the National Dialogue Committee is not to be swayed by collective emotional blackmail by individuals, not to hear each and every opinion. The beauty of this country and democracy is that we should respect each other. We should respect the opinion and the expression that we share as a country, so that we move forward into the future of limitless opportunities. I know there is this small matter of extension of presidential term. I have explained that in 5 years, this country is in campaign mode. 1 year is lost during that preceding an election because of campaign. Immediately after election, we lose 1 year through the litigation process and formation of cabinet, settling down of government. So in total, you lose 2 years in 5 years, which only reduces 3 years for government to work. I think we would be expecting the miracles that happened 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ, for somebody to transform the country within 3 years. And therefore, I'm proposing that let us move to 7 years, so that we desist from putting the country into a continuous campaign. I know this thing is unpopular, especially for people who want to become presidents. And that is why I've seen even, and you know, interesting in Kenya, I've seen some governors who are serving their second term have been calling me, some MCAs. They have been asking, why don't you include us in this proposal of extension of term? Because they want also to be part, because by the way, as a leader, it takes time to deliver and results to be seen. It is not when you are doing a road, some roads even take 1 to 2 years to be complete. It depends on what you are designing. For example, if you are doing uplands to Mount Summit, you cannot tell me it can be complete within 3 to 4, within 1 to 2 years. You might want 3 to 4 years to complete, so that you do a good job. So mimi nataka niseme Wakenya wapatiwe nafasi ya kutoa maoni. Mimi nimetoa yangu. Wale nimeona viongozi wengi na wale wengine ambao wanakashifu ile maoni yangu ni watu ambao ni wavivu, hawafikiri, You know, these are lazy thinkers. Kwa sababu kama ungekuwa na maoni yako usiutoe, ulete kwa mesa, sisi tujadiliane. Mimi nimeweka yako kwa mesa peupe, jua ikiwaka mchana nimeweka yako kwa mesa ijadiliwe. Na hiyo ni mujibu wa haki ya ile mujibu wa demokrasia wa Kenya. Sema yako ni sema yangu. Ile ambaye itakubaliana kwa pamoja. Nataka niulize ile bipartisan ambao wanakunywa chai na mandazi pale Bomas ya kwamba wasidharau maoni ya Mkenya yoyote. Wote walisema leteni maoni. Na mimi nataka niwaulize kwa sababu naona wengine wanasema hii maoni ya Cherargei ati haitaona mwanga wa siku. Mimi ninajua katiba vizuri. Na mimi ni wakili tajika kwa hii taifa letu la Kenya. Najua yale nimetoa inatakana kwenda raia waamue. Mbona usingoje raia waamue? Na kama unaona wewe uko na nguvu ya kisiasa sana, wewe jaribu sisi hapo. Kama kutakuwa na kura ya maoni, sisi tuko tayari. Mimi tutauza hii agenda. Wakenya wakukubali ni sawa. Wakikataa ni sawa. Hiyo ni haki ya demokrasia. Lakini ukiona hao watu wanapinga, ni wale wako na kasumba ya kuamini ya kwamba mtu hawezi toa maoni kwa sababu they always think they are right. So nataka niulize wale ambao wako na uvivu ya kufikiria katika taifa lenu, wewe leta maoni yako, useme Cherargei amesema hivi, hii ndio maoni kulingana na mujibu wa sehemu ya 33 katika katiba la taifa letu ya 2010. So niliona ni vema niweze nikuje niongee na wenzangu kwa sababu mimi mnafanya kitu muhimu katika jamii yetu, ndio wananchi wale wako mashinani waelewe ya kwamba hii ni maoni ya kila mtu iheshimike na isikizwe. Na nafikiri ile bipartisan team wako Bomas watatuita wale tumetoa maoni. Mimi nitaelekea pale nitoe maoni yangu peupe, Wakenya wote wajue msimamo. Na nimetoa hata sija hii term limit ya rais peke yake. Kuna mambo ya kuweka ofisi ya kiongozi ama kinara ya upinzani akuje katika bunge, naibu akuje katika bunge la kitaifa, naibu labda akuje katika bunge la seneti. Nimesema tukue na ofisi ya waziri mkuu, naibu wa waziri wakuu wakuwa wawili, mwingine akuwe waziri mkuu anaweza kuwa katika bunge la seneti, manaibu wake wawili wakuwe katika bunge la kitaifa. Hiyo ni changamoto. Nimesema mambo ya ugatuzi tuongeze pesa ifika 40% ndio wananchi wapate yale ambayo yanahitajika. Nimesema kuhusu vijana, nimesema mambo mingi ambayo sisi kama vijana ama kama taifa letu la Kenya lazima tushughulikie, kwa sababu nimesema vijana na wakina mama wapewe nafasi ya kutosha ya kuhakikisha tuchukue na mjadala kushughulikia mambo kama hii. So mimi sitaki kusema kuzidi hapo, ila kushukuru wa Kenya tu waendelee kutoa maoni, wazitishwe. Sisi wengine hatununui uoga. Wale wanaongea wajue ya kwamba mimi sinunui uoga. Bei ya uoga ilianguka kitambo sana.
Questions? Yes. You are the ruling party BDJ.
Yes.
Also reacted of course to your proposal, and I believe you are aware what you are saying against it. At the same time, you're talking about the early campaigns, and in this case insinuating that President William Ruto has begun early campaigns, and so you might not be able to deliver in the 5 years, and hence they need to have it at 7 years. Also, you are opposed to the National Dialogue Committee. Have you taken a U-turn on that? Finally, there have been speculations that maybe there was a fallout between you and the president. Are you trying to redeem your image or even try to get his attention?
So, I cannot answer some of the pedestrian questions you ask because, one, I am a UPA senator, and you have heard my party respects freedom of democracy. It does not mean that the party will have its own position. Even in the dialogue, even IPC appeared, Kotu appeared, farmers appeared. So I'm appearing as the senator of Nandi and as the elected leader in this republic. What I can tell you is that the party has stated its opposition, and it is correct because I don't hold any position within the party. So the party has a way of communicating, and I'm just bringing an opinion. And that is why I was saying, let us not criminalize anybody's opinion. Everything, even 2010 constitution, the beneficiaries were not Kibaki. The beneficiaries became others who came after 2013 when the constitution was promulgated. So we are doing it for now and for posterity. So, and that is why, and then on the issue of campaigns, unless you are a new a stranger in Jerusalem, because as you and me have been in this country for some time, and I believe so, you have seen all shades of politics are happening daily. People want to even position themselves. Others wanasema bado niko na risasi ya sita. You know, everybody is saying something about 2027, and yet it's still very far. It is still 4 years. So what I'm just proposing is because people have a perception that 5 years is a short period. But if we focus and ensure that we have a term limit of certain 7 years, for example, somebody will settle down to do their job, and you can see others. So all others, I think let us leave it there. I don't need to answer, and I know people who read Citizen Weekly or people who read their blogs might want to allow me, but let me answer the substance, because I think the reason media wanted me to hear speaking was to be able to share my opinion as a leader and as a citizen of Kenya, and even media. I hope media will have chance to present your opinions, even protection. Even the protection of media freedom in the country.
Yes. So basically you are saying you're not trying to get the attention.
No. But what is that? The president has been my friend for more than 15 years. This is not a breakup. So I don't think I can answer your question, because it doesn't even concern the president. This is my personal opinion. Even the party has said. Yeah. Any other question?
Senator, you're talking about politicking and also at the same time freedom of speech.
Yes.
Given the presidential candidate, even put it after for 10 years.
Yes.
People still have a chance to go on politicking in the name of the freedom of speech. So what will change? Because even if it is 20 years or a lifetime, people will still go on and politic. Yeah.
What is your question?
The question is that you're saying that 7 years they will have more time to do work and stop politicking. And the question is simple about what you've said, that there is so much politicking. What will reduce people from politicking with 7 years?
No, I think my brother, what we know is human. All of us are human. If you know something is happening in the street, you will always want to participate. That is why I'm just saying, so that when you increase 7 years, somebody will even have time. You know the danger of having small time. Instead of thinking of something, Kenyans will be thinking about the next election. And the problem in Kenya is that everybody would want to think about the next election.
The US Congress has 2 years. The US Congress.
No, I'm aware, but you know those are...
And they do it very efficient.
Let me tell you, so that in quick succession, the issue I'm trying to say is they have established institutions. Unlike in this country, we don't have established institutions. In America, you know, in Kenya, even in Africa, when a new administration comes in, there is major shake-up, many things, just because of the way our institutions operate. But you know, in America, even if you change the president or a congressman, because of the systems that have been established in 200 years, and you cannot compare 60 years and 200 years, it is not even possible. So it means what you should be asking me is that as a government, as parliament, we should put in place institutions that outlive some of us, so that it does not matter who is in office, because the institutions are very strong. And you had President Obama, when he visited Egypt after becoming the president, he emphasized the need of African nations to build more on institutions as opposed to individuals. So let's leave it there. I will be available for your questions